Hello everyone, I'm Brian. Today I'm doing a reaction on Sadhguru at Anna University, Chennai Youth and Truth Talk. I hope I said it right, I doubt it. So anyways, I haven't done this in a long while, so I want to get back into it because I'm curious about the questions they ask. And I can't wait to dig into some North American ones too. I did see one in Toronto. Curious as what Canada has to ask Sadhguru. So anyways, let's go get it started.
Good evening everyone.
I did skip the intro.
Studying 4th year BE Industrial Engineering, CEG.
Proceeding to the questions. So, Sadhguru, போராட்டம் இது மாணவன்
இல்லை இது நான் இப்படி பார்த்துருக்குறேன். எனக்கு அதில் இன்ட்ரெஸ்ட் இல்லை, அதனால நான் அதெல்லாம் பண்ணல. ஆனால் நான் கவனிச்சிருக்கிறேன். எக்ஸாமினேஷனில் உட்காந்து கொஞ்சம் பேர் இப்படி ஆன்சர் இப்படி வச்சு இப்படி பார்த்துக்கிறேன். கேள்வியை காப்பி பண்ணுறீங்களா? இது என்ன இது இப்படி?
இல்லை சத்குரு, நான் ஞாபகம் வச்சுக்கிறேன்.
அப்படி
போராட்டம் இது மாணவர்களாகிய எங்களோட ஒரு ஆயுதமாக நாங்கள் கருதுகிறோம். இப்போது ஏதோ ஒரு அதிருப்தி எங்களுக்கு சமூகத்தில் ஏற்படுதுன்னா அதை போராட்டம் மூலமாக தெரிவிக்கிறோம். ஆனால் இது மட்டும்தான் வழியா? போராட்டம் தவிர வேறு எதுவும் வழி, அதிருப்தியை தெரிவிக்கிறதுக்கு வேறு எதுவும் ஒரு நல்ல வழி இருக்கா?
தமிழில் பேசணுமா? நான் என் தமிழை கொஞ்சம் புரிஞ்சுக்கிறது கொஞ்சம் கஷ்டம். ఎందుకంటే ரொம்ப ஹை ஸ்டாண்டர்டு நான் தமிழில் எழுத்து தெரியாது, அதனால கொஞ்சம் ஸ்டாண்டர்ட் அதிகம். நான் போராட்டம்னா தமிழில் என்னென்ன இருக்கோ அதில் சும்மா உட்கார முடியும், அமைதியாக உணவு சாப்பிடாம உட்காந்துக்க முடியும், கல் வீச முடியும், பஸ் எரிக்க முடியும், யாருனால வெட்ட முடியும், எல்லாமே போராட்டம் தானே. எது பற்றி சொல்கிறீங்க?
இப்போது கவர்மெண்ட்னே எடுத்துக்கலாம். ஏதோ ஒரு விஷயம் அவங்க செய்கிறது நம்மளுக்கு பிடிக்கல, அவங்க செய்கிறது நிறைய பாதிப்பை ஏற்படுத்துது அப்படின்னும் போது அந்த விஷயத்தை ஒரு அதிருப்தியாக ஒரு நல்ல முறையில் யாருக்கும் பாதிப்பை ஏற்படுத்தாமல் நடத்துறது, அந்த விதமான ஒரு போராட்டம் தான் சொல்கிறேன்.
சரி, இது நம்ம ஜனநாயகம்னா இதில் பலவிதமான
Okay, I don't think this translation, I don't know if the translation is translating properly or not. So sadly I'm going to pause and skip the part that I can't understand anyway, so I'll be right back. Okay, so if you want to watch this uninterrupted and the parts that I skip, please go to the original video. There should be a link in the description. If not, copy the name of my title without the react and just do a search on that. Also, that is the thumbnail that they have. Hopefully this is in English.
Anna University promotes a lot of sports. I'm also a sports person, a chess player. Whenever I play a game against a stranger, a person I don't know, I tend to bring out my full potential and play without worrying about the outcome of the game. But when I play against someone known to me, it becomes very hard to bring out that potential. What should I do to overcome this?
known to you means a known competitor or a friend?
A known person.
A friend. You don't have to win against a friend, it's okay.
Well, you're doing your friend a disservice if you're doing something competitive. In order to improve, you must be challenged. So whenever in my hobbies, there's tournaments for it, and I want people to play their best. It doesn't mean that they necessarily have to play the very competitive list, but they must play their list competitively. Because I need to make sure that my list is tested. It is proven that it can handle the situation that it's in. If my friends doesn't play, I mean, it's fine if they don't play competitively or anything, but you know, again, if you're just doing it for a friendly play, then yeah, it doesn't matter, just have fun. That's the whole point. It's always to have fun. But if you do it for competitive reasons, still have fun, but play competitively, you know? That way you get better at whatever it is that you're playing.
And anyway, if you...
Oh, sorry, real quick. Apparently the subtitles is completely useless, because apparently this is where it started back whenever the first question was asked. So I think I'm just going to cut it out, even though I love to listen and read at the same time, just to make sure I'm following correctly.
And it's okay. And anyway, if you're playing about a serious competition against an opponent, you must understand, the more familiar you are
The better you should
about
be.
his ways of doing things or her ways of doing things, the more enabled you are to defeat that person. So, an opponent should never be a stranger. Today all sports people are spending hundreds of hours watching videos of their opponents. This happened in the year 98, 99. Andre Agassi and Boris Becker played 3 games. All Boris Becker beat Andre Agassi because he had such a… he was called Boom Boom because… Boris Becker was called Boom Boom because of the service. His serves were so powerful, there was no game. Every time he will serve and finish the game. Nobody returns the ball. So, Andre Agassi went back and studied hundreds of hours of Boris Becker's serves. Then he figured it out. Then in the next 3 years, he played 11 games with him and beat him on 10 of them. And I'll tell you what happened. After Boris Becker retired, they met in Germany. There's something called the Oktoberfest in Germany. They were there, and at that time they were together. And Andre Agassi thought, okay, anyway he's retired, now I can tell him. Because this bothered Boris Becker big time, nobody can beat him, but this guy's getting at him. So he told him, see, I observed your videos continuously and I figured out that whenever you're serving the ball towards the boundary line, Boris Becker, if you know, when he's serving, his tongue sticks out a little bit. When he throws the ball up and comes down, his tongue sticks out. He said, whenever you're serving towards the boundary line, your tongue goes to the left. When you're serving straight, it comes out straight. I observed this, the moment your tongue sticks out to the boundary line, I was already there every time taking the ball. So, Boris Becker literally fell off his chair, he couldn't believe this. And he said, any number of times I went home after the matches and I told my wife, he seems to be reading my mind. But you've been reading my tongue. It's almost spoken. So, your opponent should be never unfamiliar to you. You must make him familiar. You must know him better than he knows himself. It's most important.
Yeah, it's kind of like in the hobby that I do. You have to know the rules, you have to know their rules and your rules and how they play their rules. And also, this is the thing that I kind of said about Lakhani. He has this little quirk that where he always just removes his glasses and puts them on, and removes them and puts them on. I always worry he's going to poke out an eye. But everyone has a little bit of a quirk. I don't know what mine is. I'm sure I have one. But I don't know what Sadhguru is yet. I'm trying to think. I don't quite notice. There are certain quirks, and it doesn't happen all the time. But certain things, like Hani's a very easy one to see, where he just keeps removing and putting on his glasses all the time. Apparently, that's his quirk. His tongue.
Sadhguru, nowadays there is a small gap between parents and youngsters.
Small gap? Then you are a very good girl. You must be a very good girl. That's a small gap. Otherwise, big gap, huh? Hello? Small gap, big gap, huh? Big.
ஸோ நம்ம எல்லாத்தையும் பேரண்ட்ஸ் கிட்ட ஷேர் பண்ணுறது இல்லை. அவங்க நம்ம மேலே எவ்வளோ அக்கறையாக அன்பாக இருந்தாலும் குறிப்பிட்ட விஷயம் தான் ஷேர் பண்ணுறோம். அதே நேரத்தில் இவ்வளோ கேரிங்காக இருக்காங்களே, இவங்ககிட்ட இது மறைக்கிறோமே அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு ஒரு கில்ட்டி ஃபீலிங் இருக்கும். ஸோ வாட் கேன் பி டன் டு பிரிட்ஜ் திஸ் கேப் பிட்வீன் பேரண்ட்ஸ் அண்ட் யங்ஸ்டர்ஸ்?
Uh-oh, I don't know what the question is.
Oh. Well, it's a popular question, huh? See, are you doing something criminally wrong? It's something you must look at. Otherwise, as young people, you're doing something which you think is absolute secret, But parents did this 35, 40 years ago. Hello? They did. They were also thinking they are the first generation doing these things. So, one thing is, this is something I've been constantly telling the parents, see, stop being a parent. Nobody needs a parent after 8, 10 years of age. After that, people need a friend. Your parents should have become the closest friend in your life, because when you have confusions and troubles, you want to go to the friend, not to your boss. So unfortunately, generation after generation, they make the same mistake, that the moment they have children, because they have children when they don't know what the hell is happening with themselves, first of all. So they are also terribly confused just like you. Because they're confused, the only way is act forceful like a boss. And with this, the relationship becomes far away. Though it's not that there's no love, there is love, but there's no relationship. There's a strange relationship. There's a lot of love, but no relationship. Because relationship needs… See, love can happen within your heart. Love can happen because somebody is yours. But relationship won't happen without responsibility and inclusiveness. You have to include somebody, otherwise a relationship will not happen. So unfortunately, a whole lot of people fail to do this, but if they don't know, aren't you mature enough to do that? Why don't you do it? Reach out and make friends with them. Yes, initially they'll be surprised, but then they will love it. Yes, they will. Believe me, at least in India, for most parents, they don't know why the hell they're living after 35, 40 years of age. The only reason why they're living is for their children. For most of them it's so. They don't have a life of their own. Their whole life is, we're living for our children. So when it is like that, I think if they don't know how to make friends with you, you break the ice and make friends with them and tell them, and let's see. Whatever you want to tell them.
Sadhguru, in my school and college days, I have seen that a lot of highly intelligent people, they tend to keep to themselves. They tend to not do the normal things that people do to be happy. Like, they don't go out, they don't chill, they don't party. They tend to just be concentrated in their work. But are intelligence and happiness tied in any way?
See, there are many kinds of pleasures.
I'd say no. Intelligence doesn't make you happy. It can make you happy, but it's not the thing that's make you happy. You can think about things that can make you happy, but it's all temporary. Can't believe I can't say that word. I was thinking, how would I answer that? Contentment's the best thing I could say. It's not necessarily that you're unhappy when you're content. It's not necessarily to say that you're happy when you're content, but you're neither. And to me, contentment is actually slightly happy, meaning that there's always things that can make you happier, but it doesn't take a lot to make you happy because you're slightly happy. Like neutral, slightly happy. And there's all this room to be happier, but you're not sad or slightly sad. You're not just neutral, you're just slightly happy. Because I just, generally speaking, just I understand and I'm grateful. And I guess that's all I can really answer. It's a way to understand that things in life is temporary happiness. If you can let things not bother you in life, you can be content. If you don't need things in life, you can be content or want things. You need things that you need, but you don't need things that you want. But if you can understand the things that you want and not let it drive you to need them when you don't really need them, I think you can be content. You need water, you need food, you need a job, you need shelter, you need clothes. But don't go crazy and buying like fancy food or fancy drinks or a fancy house or a fancy car or fancy clothes. Be reasonable. Reasonable, content, and understanding.
In life, there are physical pleasures, there are biological pleasures, there are intellectual pleasures, there are pleasures of deeper intelligence, there are pleasures of emotion, there are pleasures, enormous pleasures of consciousness. So someone who is enjoying the pleasure of their intellect or intelligence, for them, what you think is chill in a pub or whatever doesn't make sense to them because they're enjoying something else. Once you have come here as a human being, your biology is not the front end of your life. Maybe when you're 18, 20 you think so, but you will see it is not so. For every other creature, their biology is the most dominant part of their life. Once you come as a human being, there is an enormous intellect, there are other dimensions of intelligence, emotion, consciousness. So, some people can only enjoy what's physical, some people have intellectual pleasures, some have other dimensions of pleasures. So just because they are not doing what you think is fun, this doesn't mean they are not having fun, it doesn't mean you're playing chess. Somebody else thinks it's nonsense.
It's very
A
boring.
whole lot of people think, I'm sure. Moving pawns all your life. But you may be having a very intense level of pleasure in just moving a pawn in a brilliant way, yes? So, what kind of pleasure one is involved in may be different, and it should be so. If everybody is into the same thing, that's a dumb society.
There's no variety.
Sadhguru, we are a generation of attention seekers.
Oh, you?
I think most of us would agree with this. Expressing our happiness, our sadness, the details of what we did today, the food we ate, the people whom we met, and posting them on WhatsApp, Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, etc., etc. So this expression of particularly our problems and the state of us being sad. Rather than seeking a solution, speaking to a friend, we tend to post it and then tell the whole world out loud that we are sad. So, is this expression of us on social media wrong? And also the attention seeking. Is this expression of us on social media and the attention seeking wrong?
Wait a minute, did I get the right video? I thought I was looking at something that's not American. Hold on. What you said there is exactly what's going on. What in the world is going on here? What year was this one? Oh my gosh. This is literally America. Well, probably the Western world, but this is what I'll talk about, where this arrogance or this I don't know what it is. It's I don't know if the right word is derivative, but it's coming from developed areas. When an area becomes developed, this kind of thing happens. Like we become so arrogant to that the world's like should be catering to us, should be feeling sorry for us, should be like, here's what you need to fix your problem. And even though there's no problem, they should be still saying, oh sorry, your problem, feel good, you know, attention seeking. Oh my gosh, wow. So, is it a problem? Attention seeking, absolutely, because you're becoming arrogant. Your ego, you're trying to inflate your ego. You're trying to fool yourself into thinking that you're right and whoever caused this problem is wrong. If you feel like you've been wronged and then you twist the words and say it in such a way that the other person's wrong, and then everyone will say, oh yeah, they were wrong, you're in the right, you're the correct one. You're like, oh yes, of course I'm right, that person's obviously wrong. This is the development of ignorance. Not ignorance, but arrogance. And ignorance, actually. Because that's the only thing we care about. It's ourselves. No one else. We have to be right. We should say, I have to be right. Oh my gosh. Oh no, this is terrible. Technology, what have you done? Actually, this is not technology's fault, because this is something innate in all of us. Technology only is a tool, and this is how we use it to ego boost our egos even more than just what's in our natural surroundings to the world now.
It's not about right and wrong, it is just that at this stage in your life, today, you say something, good or bad, doesn't matter. We don't even want to judge it's good or bad, something private.
No longer private.
But you must understand this, particularly with digital media, the damn thing stays for your lifetime. Okay? If you wipe it off your Facebook, somebody else will be storing it somewhere. And this may come and confront you somewhere when it is not necessary after 20 years in your life. Yes? So today what you are may be embarrassing for you after 10 years' time. So, well, this social media is a phenomenal tool in our life. Never before this was possible that human beings could communicate like this. But what are we communicating?
Indeed.
I think little more thought is needed. You take a selfie with your ice cream and do this and do that. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, just a bit flaky.
I mean, like taking selfies and just showing where you're at, I think that's fine, because you want to share your experience with people. I think that can be a good thing. The problem is when you start trying to reassure that you are in the right, you're the one who's been wronged, you're looking for justification, but the whole story is not there, so you make yourself look like you're in the right. When you start twisting things.
And tomorrow you may be embarrassed of your own flakiness. If you're not, it's okay. I'm not saying you should do it or should not do it, but little more judiciousness would stand by you through the length of your life, because today what you do should not come and confront you much later. You should be able to, you know.
Sadhguru, when certain youngsters face problems or difficulties like failures, breakups, loss, etc., a few go for drugs or alcohol instead of solving the problem and finding solutions. So I want to know, what is that one hope a person can cling on to even when he is fully shattered?
For a test, a quiz, or something along those lines that is not dealing with life, there's always tomorrow. And what that means is that you can always try again. It's not over with. Or you can try something else. You don't necessarily, if this is something that you really want, you don't have to do it your first time around. But this first failure should be a learning lesson for you to improve, so you can try it for your second time. Oops, second time, not third, but second time. But be understanding of your situation, that if you fail a second or third time, that maybe that's not for you, and try something else. Try the second thing that you want. The loss of a loved one. You're in a breakup or loss of a loved one. For loss of a loved one, you gotta understand that, yes, there's just no denying that you're gonna be sad for sure. And it's okay to cry and feel really, I don't want to say really bad, but just feel really sad about it. But do understand that I'm sure that loved one would want you to continue living life, to live the best life you can. I guess it kind of goes along the lines of, imagine if you have a really good friend and all of a sudden your friend died. You'll start, of course you'll start crying and weeping over your friend, your good friend. And then hopefully this will let you realize that, life is short. I mean, you gotta make sure that you live your life to your best. This should be a wake-up call. On top of that, that no one lives forever. And then for a breakup, I don't know, you kind of have to go through the motions. Learn your lesson in terms of what went wrong and what went right. And perhaps you're not meant to be together, and there's someone else out there to, that's not the only person in the world. There are many other people that you'll run into that'll hopefully be better. I say hopefully be better. It's rough. It's hard. Dating I think in the Western world, or just in America in general, it's kind of tough. It's not all that great. So, I mean, obviously, if you look at Advaita Vedanta, the disconnect between your true self and your emotions is the way to do it. But talking to people in, what do you call it, layman's terms, I suppose, which is the terms that I want to understand and use, is what I'm trying to say. Many people have broken up before. It's not the end of the world. That may not be the person for you. That may have been a blessing for you, because now you learn your lesson. You know what's good for you. You know what you want. And to find someone, you're gonna be. I know there's people out there who just express, there's no one else. There's only one. It's like no. There's 8 billion people in the world. There's gonna be many matches in your life, and that's not the only one. Trust me. Anyways.
From within.
Oh,
Sadhguru.
so many broken hearts here who are clapping their hands.
Oh, that's weird. Sadhguru is very responsive to people clapping with the questions in this one.
So, when he is fully shattered, what can he do? The question is, do you want to allow yourself to be fully shattered? That's a question. And many things that don't work out in your early life, you will see later on, it is a great blessing.
It can be.
Yes. There are many ways to look at this. Let me tell you this. This happened in 1941. This is just when the Nazi movement was building up in Germany and in some parts of Europe. So one day in Austria, a bunch of German soldiers came, broke into the homes, the Jewish family, a rich family, they broke the home and took away the adults, everything was robbed. And these two children, a 12-year-old girl and an 8-year-old boy, were taken away. They were taken to a railway station. This is the month of November end, December kind of time, when it's becoming very cold. So they were kept in the railway station for 3 days because the trains did not come. Boys, little boys being boys, they started playing football. So they were playing football and then suddenly the train came. The train is not a passenger train, it's a cargo train, the goods train. So when the train came, the soldiers came and rushed everybody into the wagons which are there. Everybody got in and the little boy and the girl also got in, but the little boy forgot to wear his shoes. He left his shoes outside and they pushed him into the wagon. So without shoes he came. His sister, a 12-year-old girl, saw her kid brother coming without shoes and she got mad with him. She held him by the ear, boxed his ears, scolded him nicely, slapped him. Say, you idiot, already we are in enough trouble, now you come without shoes. Because in Germany in winter, no shoes means you may lose your feet. So she's angry about that. In the next station, the boys and girls were separated. After 4 years, after the war was over, she came out of the concentration camp to find 17 members of her family, including her little brother, all had vanished. No records, no sign of them, they just evaporated. At that time, the only thing that bothered her was the last few things that she said to her little brother. She loves her brother, but the last few things that she said to him were such terrible things, it rang in her mind and troubled her. These are the last things I told my brother, and after that I'm never going to see him, he's gone. So she took a vow, if I speak to anybody in my life, I will speak in such a way, if this is my last word, I will not regret. This one thing transformed her life in such a way. She went on to United States, she died in 2006, she did some phenomenal work, built a hospital somewhere near Chicago, I think. She lived a fruitful life. I'm saying, even if you're put through the most horrible situations, either you can come out using that experience as a better human being, or you can use the experience to become a horrible mess. So whenever something hurts you, there are two options. You can either become wounded or you can become wise. This is the choice. The more things hurt you early on in your life, the wiser you should have become, isn't it? But unfortunately, most people become wounded. This is simply because they just need an excuse to turn their own intelligence against themselves, that's all.
I was gonna say, this is what you call kind of the victimhood mentality, a little bit. Or say they have one bad experience, or even they never had anything bad, but they just hear about these things. So therefore, oh, I'm the victim, because even though I've never been the victim, I just make myself the victim, therefore I'm the victim.
Especially if the world around you turns against you, is it not very, very important that your intelligence stands up for you?
Wow, that's really good words though, for sure. Yes, absolutely. And this is something I've said too, even in the hobbies that I do. It's something that I always try, is to always, and I don't always succeed, which is always to learn something from what you do. Try to. I mean, you don't force yourself to it. That's not gonna help you at all. But when you do something, if it's something that you do as a hobby or you do as something serious, try to learn something from it if you can. Don't force yourself, because it's not gonna happen. But that way you become wiser next time you do something. Whether it's something good or something bad, always try to learn from it. Try to at least get one thing if you can. Again, if you can. There's never, how do I say, not all scenarios you can always pull something out of, a nugget of wisdom, as they say. But it doesn't hurt to, I don't want to use, meditate on it, to think about it, to play it in your mind, but obviously make sure it's not something harmful to you. But I think it's wise to, even though it hurts, to try to learn something from it, to play it in your mind, how could I have done things better? And to understand why or what happened. That way, next time it happens, it won't be as bad. Now, and also hopefully you understand what you can or cannot do. It's very tough. Words are very easy to say. Advice is so easy. Advice is cheap. But they're good. They can help you learn. It's not always that a good advice can even help you sometimes. Sometimes a good advice cannot help you. Sometimes. But it's always wise to listen, to learn, and to take in as much information as you can. That's what I try to do. I try to live by that, honestly. That's why, even in my job, even if one of the other techs go fix a problem, I always ask, oh, so what was the problem? If the problem is something I've never dealt with before, I ask, okay, how did you fix it? That way, if I encounter that problem, I have an idea of how to fix it. If it's a problem that I've handled before, I generally don't ask because I kind of know how to do it, but sometimes I do just in case they did something different. It all depends on how they answer what was the problem in the first place. Because if they make it sound like very common, something that we do all every time, I'm not going to really bother asking. But if it's something new, I generally speaking, I generally ask. That way I know. That way I'm not caught off guard. You can't prepare for everything, but you can prepare for as much things as you can possible. Anyways, this is the first part of this one. If you like my content, please consider subscribing, thumbs up, thumbs down, down below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next vid.